Hello, welcome to the Fire Connect podcast. My name is David Cuerpo, Public Information Officer with the Seattle Fire Department, and I'm the host for today's conversation about technical teams in the Seattle Fire Department. What many of you may not know is that once you become a firefighter EMT within the Seattle Fire Department, you are presented with many additional opportunities. Whether you have an interest in becoming a rescue swimmer, working on the fire boats, joining the hazmat team, becoming a paramedic, putting out vault fires, joining Rescue 1, taking 911 calls as a firefighter dispatcher, the opportunities are truly endless. With us today, we have 3 Seattle firefighter members. Can everyone introduce themselves? I'll start with you, Captain.
Sure. My name is Captain Dietrich Hauge, and I work on Engine 5, which is part of the Marine program, and we have Rescue Boat 5 and Rescue Watercraft, and we respond to all water emergencies.
My name is McCandless. I'm a firefighter on Ladder 1 B shift, and I'm part of the hazmat team. We respond to any hazardous materials leaks, spills, explosions, and a variety of other responses in the city.
I am Paramedic Amelia Colasurdo. I've been with Seattle Fire Department for almost 11 years now, and I've finished my 4th year as a paramedic. We respond to all advanced life support calls. We perform CPR and resuscitations for ALS needs across the city, and we work in geographically placed districts all over 8 different locations.
And so for those that don't know, what's the difference between basic life support and advanced life support?
Basic life support is what all of our firefighters do. They're all EMTs, so they're our first level of service. They respond to aid calls as well as medic calls. The medics, myself and others, would be the advanced life support, or ALS, where if the interventions don't meet the criteria for what the EMT firefighters provide, then the ALS paramedics provide the next level. So we're actually trained to the level of an emergency department doctor, but in the field, and we work in tandem with the doctors in the emergency department at Harborview to achieve our patient outcomes.
Well, that's awesome. That's quite a lot of training. For the paramedic classes, it's about 11 months?
It is. It's 10 months officially, but that kind of depends on the length of patient contacts and just the environment at the time you go through the program.
Cool. We'll touch base on that a little bit more later. Captain Hauge, got a question for you. So, firefighters are the last line of help when you call 911. What drew you to this profession when you first joined?
I have always been attracted to fields that are rewarding and give back. Prior to the fire department, I was an environmental scientist, and I met some people during Hurricane Katrina response. I met some firefighters, and I was really excited to hear about what the fire service did, and I was really interested in helping the environment and the cleanup, but I felt that I missed something. And so I was attracted to the field because I wanted to be more involved in life safety. So at that point, I started looking in the fire departments, and it's very rewarding for me because we go to work and all of our interactions are positive. We're helping people on their worst day. We are getting people out of jams, whether they're catastrophic fires or they're just locked out of their house. You know, we're there to help, and so everything we do, we have positive feedback, and I can go home and feel good about the contribution of my shift.
That just makes me think that 911 is the last line. There's not really 911 for us. So being a problem solver is a natural part of the job. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd say that's correct. Problem solving is a huge part of our job. We're presented with multiple problems a day. Every call that we go to is different, whether it be an aid call or a fire alarm. They're all different. We go to buildings in different areas. Buildings of different ages. We see patients who have been in a minor accident, and then we see people on their very worst day who have been in a major accident or are very sick and need advanced life support.
Yeah, I would piggyback on that and just say that we all, as individuals from firefighters up through specialty teams, are kind of good at what we refer to as triage in the business, where we get to arrive at our at our response and decide at that moment, what's in order. Is it handled by our EMT firefighters? Is it a fire response? Is it a rescue extrication? Is it a paramedic call? And we rely individually and as a team to figure out who's going to be able to answer the call the best, because we have and face such a variety of circumstances.
So why does Seattle Fire stand out for tech teams that we have available? Does anyone want to start off with the tech teams that you're in?
I'll start off. So this was an interview question. When I was becoming a firefighter and studying for the interview, I did a ton of research on Seattle Fire because I was very interested in Seattle with their wide variety of specialty teams. You have a marine side on the fire boat. You have a waterfront fire engine the captain here works on, and the water side aspect is pretty unique for our area. Obviously Medic 1 and the ALS side, I'll let Amelia speak to that more further in depth. My draw was the hazmat side. Prior to the fire department, I was working for a logistics contractor for a very large mining company and tasked with moving hazardous materials all over the country. And for me, there's a lot of schooling and training and expertise that go into that. But I didn't feel fulfilled in that job. I felt like I was getting a lot of different tools in the toolbox, and I really wanted to put that towards helping other people. And digging in the dirt, looking for precious metals is a very hard job. It's very busy, and there's a lot of safety challenges that we face in that line of work. But being able to come over to the fire side, and with the knowledge that I had prior to, bring that into this job on the hazmat team has really, I think, it's helped me learn a lot more for the public safety side, which we're really all about. Our job is to protect the public, and we work in a very busy port city. There's a lot of potential for different things to go on here. There's a main rail line that runs through Seattle. We have the Port of Seattle, the airport. Boeing is here. They present a lot of challenges for us, and the military bases around here also.
I've been affiliated with technical teams pretty much my entire career. I think that they offer a huge amount of variety to your day and additional training, and you're doing things that other firefighters don't have the opportunity to do. As a firefighter, I worked at 25s, which is the energy response team, and this was before that program expanded and formalized. But we were doing a lot of the early energy response vault fires, and then I moved and was a hazardous materials technician at Station 10, and I'm currently a rescue swimmer, which provides a lot of opportunity for additional training and to be able to make a direct impact on making saves with people in the water by directly diving in, putting your fins and goggles and masks, and to be kind of a person's last opportunity from drowning. So it's a very serious specialty, and you have to train a lot and work on your skills. So that's been a challenge for me. And then also concurrently working at Station 5, we're the part of the Marine program. So I have the opportunity to learn how to operate vessels. We have a 25-foot safe boat that we deploy on all saltwater emergencies. So we learn boat operation and navigation, and working with the fireboat and working with the Coast Guard. So we're interfacing with different agencies. We also have rescue watercraft, where they are upfitted Sea-Doos that we keep on Lake Washington and soon to be Lake Union. So when we have freshwater emergencies, we're able to get resources out to people, whether they're on a sinking vessel or they're in distress or there's a missing person. We can get out and expand our rescue swimmers' reach from the shore and get swimmers out into the middle of the lake to be able to get positive outcomes for people, possibly on their worst day. So I've really immersed myself in the technical team field, and it's just been like a fantastic addition to my career.
Yeah, I would say that when I first came in, it was explained to me that if you're sort of thinking like, oh, I'm going to have a 20-year career, I might have a 25-year career, that a wise choice would be to look at your trajectory in terms of 5-year increments. So you could be like, I'm going to learn to just be a firefighter for the first 5 years wherever I land. I too ended up at 25s like Dietrich, in terms of wanting to be at a place where I was going to be busy and challenged and would start to feel capable in my duties as a firefighter, which I did. And riding the aid car there really gave me a set of skills in the EMT field that then gave me the confidence to know, like, I think I'd be a really good fit as a paramedic. I think that'd be an intriguing challenge for me. So I think the fact that Seattle has a very wide, diverse group of technical teams that vary everything you could want, medicine to water to hazmat to heavy rescue and so on. It's a great way to understand that your career is going to be nothing short of exciting if that's what you want, because you get to learn and take on a new challenge every so often and learn something and master something over time, and then you'll be as satisfied as you were, but really growing and changing in any direction you can think of. It's that not every city offers that, so we're very unique that way.
So a common thread that I hear from all three of you is it's a challenge. Like, you're always continually learning something. You're always having to keep up to date with new things that are coming aboard. Can each of you talk about the process to join your technical team?
Absolutely. So each one is an application process. So you apply directly. You have to be in the fire department for a year, and then you have the opportunity to interview, and then they become a ranked list. And if you have a strong background in that particular field, that can give you a leg up to be able to join a specialty team. However, we do, if you don't have that background, we also can train you from starting at zero. So when you join a specialty unit, you have a probation period, typically 16 shifts, where you're learning specific to my program. We have 16 shifts where you become a crew member of a vessel, and you learn how to operate as a crew member using fenders and lines, learning seamanship, and how to be a functional part of a team. And then as you move forward, for the rest of that year, you're learning your boat operator skills. And then we put people through specialized classes. We have it's called a BOSAR class, a boat operator search and rescue class, which is a 40-hour class where we're focusing on vessel maneuvering and how to work electronics and sonar, and to become a competent operator. And then we have a 20-hour class that we put people through to be a rescue watercraft operator. So very similar training, but for a different vessel in different conditions. So typically it takes about a year to be fully trained, but the start is 16 shifts, and then you just get started, and then you just continually learn throughout your career. You're never done.
Is it the same in your program?
It's very similar in the hazmat side, and just we just don't have a boat, so we're still working on that. But our side is very similar. We do have a 16-shift training probationary period, and it is very drawn out. You get a binder with a bunch of sign-offs that you have to get. On the hazmat side, we have a lot of specialized equipment. They give us that we have a larger truck than we used to have because we have more equipment, and the hazmat equipment keeps getting bigger. That's why we keep getting bigger trucks. However, we have state-of-the-art equipment from all over the world that we use in the public safety sector, and I like to break the hazmat equipment down into pretty much 3 different categories. So we do air monitoring pretty much all the time. We do air monitoring. We have some biological checks that we can do, and then a large part of the hazmat operation for public safety is radiation detection. When I was a newer firefighter, I didn't know a ton about radiation. You hear about it in school, you study it a little bit, and then you move on to the next chapter. So when you come to Station 10 and join the hazmat team, we send you to a core competency of classes all around the country. Similar to the boat operators, they have classes that they go to. But some of our training, we send people to Texas, Alabama, Nevada, and Colorado for all sorts of different types of training. Some of them are fire related to hazmat in transit. Industry is one of the biggest hazmat carriers in the world, and accidents happen every day, and we've had some pretty significant incidents here in the Seattle metro area. But we want to make sure that our members are aware, and when something does happen, that they are very aware and dialed in on that special skill. So we want to send them to these classes that are usually taught by a third party. We work a lot with the federal government on Homeland Security, and part of that is it's really geared toward keeping the community safe, but we're always watching out for each other, and then after the incident or during the incident, we're looking outside that box. There's a lot of potential for something bad to happen, and there's, with the political climate here, right now in 2025, there's a lot of issues happening around the world, and we're very aware of all that stuff. So some of the classes we go to are live agent training. Crewed by Rail is still an ongoing class. We send our new members to a bomb technician awareness class. So they're not bomb techs, but they are aware, and they get to see how that side works. For the explosive side, and then the radiation classes are all over the country. The one I've been to a couple of times is in Las Vegas at the Nevada test site, and learned a lot and continue to learn. So great programs, and the training is ongoing. I say I didn't really feel comfortable, like I knew a lot till about a year and a half in on the hazmat team, where I felt confident in a lot of my skills. I have to push the buttons and do that multiple times to make sure the instrument works, and it's ever evolving. We get new equipment every month, and Seattle is one of the very few fire departments on the West Coast that will beta test equipment for some of these large manufacturing companies. So we'll take a brand new instrument that's not even out in the field yet, and we will run it through its paces on real alarms in classroom settings. And sometimes we'll take it to some of these classes around the country and put it through its paces.
Yeah, I think that hazmat does a tremendous amount of things that people are just completely unaware, particularly for Homeland Security. They're setting up their detectors at Seahawks games. They're there every home game. They're there for parades. They're there when the president comes to town. So their component in keeping the community safe is very much behind the scenes, but we have a team of experts who are just pushing themselves, because the field is huge and the instrumentation is changing every year. So it's a real challenge, and they also are doing this in the busiest part of downtown Seattle. So the people that work at Station 10, my hat's off to them, because they are workers. They challenge themselves every day. And I think everyone is pretty happy doing so, because it's just, there's no downtime. It's just you're just working and having fun.
I think, Aaron, off camera, you mentioned this is what, day 8 for you?
This is day 8 for me in a row. So another part of our specialty teams here, we have a logistics component to a lot of these events. Firefighters come from all over the place, and some have very unique backgrounds. And fortunately for me, the logistics background prior to coming to the fire department, we made it so possible for workers to do their job. So I would haul 40-ton mining dump trucks from A to B on a semi-truck, and lots of other different types of equipment and fuel and all these things. We do that on a much smaller scale here for the fire department, but special events, parades, Seahawks games, there's a lot of different activities and events that happen throughout the year. I would say our logistics team here does about 30 to 40 events a year that are on a larger stage that we support with small UTV gators, tents, heating, air conditioning, you name it. We have 2 semi-trucks full of equipment and a warehouse stacked full of gear. We're also a very large player here in the region, so if there is a regional emergency and another fire department needs some assistance, our fire department here in Seattle has been very proactive in setting up these policies where we will go and assist them. So having the capability to do that is first and foremost, and then the personnel and the staffing is second. But I would say Seattle does a very good job of helping our neighbors, and really that's why we're all here. We want to help our communities, and even though we don't serve a different community like Bellevue, we don't serve Bellevue. We can go assist them if they request us for a specialty team, because they don't have as many specialty team members as we do. We're very fortunate for that. But the resources we have are pretty unlimited when it comes to some of the things like the fireboat. The water side is huge, and I know that we've helped other agencies on the water multiple times in different jurisdictions, along with the ALS side. The bordering agencies and the bordering cities, I know that you guys go up there for medic responses occasionally when they're stacked and don't have any rigs in service.
Yeah. It feels good to be a leader in the geographic area, in the community. Like, it makes you feel good about yourself and like you're on the forefront of what you do. I mean, I think what the Medic One program is unique as far as I understand it in the world. It's a collaboration between the fire department, the city, the state, the Medic One Foundation, University of Washington, and within our area, if you want to be a paramedic practicing in the given district, as far up as Everett, as far east as Bellevue, Bainbridge, not so much south, then you have to come through our program. And it, to get into the program from Seattle Fire standpoint is to have a certain amount of time as an EMT, so you can practice doing that job. And then once you qualify, you take a written test, and then you take a practical hands-on evaluation that's based on a state-run NREMT, just testing your EMT level knowledge. And then once you are given the green light to do that, then you take a college-level anatomy and physiology course, and then you take a 10-month on our Seattle Fire medic rig training, trial by fire, medicine in the streets way of learning, which is far and away, as far as I understand it, it's somewhere like 3 to 4 times the amount of patient contacts and hours on a rig. So you really learn by doing. You get all of the didactic learning in a book and from some of the best doctors and emergency physicians in Seattle, face-to-face, one-on-one, and then everyone, including Seattle paramedics and others, go ride with the seasoned senior Seattle paramedics for 10 months, and you just end up really getting a visceral flair for the job that you couldn't get any other way. The traditional or a parallel way is outside of fire departments. You can go to a university and be certified to become a paramedic, but your hours of actually doing the job are minimal compared to what we do. So it just feels, we don't get the fancy fly to other states. I don't get to go to Vegas once a year, but we do have ongoing training of 50 hours of continuing medical education annually. And then, of course, every day we still are responsible for all of our fire drills and keeping up on that side of things. So you're never bored. And your downtime is certainly spent schooling up on new technologies within the field of medicine. And Seattle's a leader in terms of CPR save rates. And this is not just in Washington State, but around the world. We have a lot of people. There's a cadre of individuals that come from a university in Japan every year to come and ride our rigs and learn from our paramedics and doctors and system to model themselves after us. We're continually refining exactly how to do CPR the very best that we can. We have a program that varies the number of compressions. We use various techniques to ventilate a patient during a resuscitation, and there's a lot of hardcore data-driven science that supports those changes, and it's really neat to be part of a team that's always trying to get better and really making useful changes that end up in better save rates for individuals out there in their worst moments.
Speaking of CPR, the university, along with Harborview and our paramedic program, was doing a study on like the difference in the speed of chest compressions, and they were recording that data to figure out what was the more optimal rate. Is that correct?
That is correct. We've gone, traditionally, I think 110 compressions per minute has been the sweet spot, but they don't want to rest on their laurels and take that for granted when there's new technology that can measure that efficiency better. And so we've tried all the way up to 120 beats per minute and down to 100. So we have metronomes that go with that study, and that cues the firefighters in order to adjust their compressions to that rate and depth, so that we're getting full recoil and really doing like, high quality, high performance CPR is what we call it, and it's ever ongoing.
One thing that I've noticed is different between the different fire departments is on some agencies you might have a paramedic that actually serves on a fire engine or a truck, but here we do it a little differently. Can you explain?
Sure. Our paramedic system is based on 2 paramedics riding 1 ambulance rig, and that would be the same for everyone that comes through the paramedic training program in the Seattle area. So we're not, there's a phrase in the fire department that says it's an inch deep and a mile wide, that you're responsible for a little bit over a large degree, except that specialty teams allow you to focus more on one branch or another. So what was your original question again?
Well, just the difference on some agencies will have...
Yes, two paramedic.
Right.
Okay, so we do work as a team. We split our shift up. We work one 24-hour period, and for half of the day you're in the lead role, and you make the decisions, interact with the patients, and communicate with the emergency department staff. And for the other half of the shift, you're the skills role, which is performing all the manipulative things, giving IVs, intubating patients, running the life pack, and driving the ambulance. So as a team of 2 that's fully committed to your job as a paramedic all day, you just are better equipped to think on your feet and to respond to emergencies that might happen in the middle of the night when your brains might not be firing on 100%, but the 2 people at 85 to 100 are an asset to the public for sure, that you don't miss anything and that you're able to function as a team member with all of the firefighters working with you.
You mentioned working with the firefighters. We have a tiered response system. So can we go over like on a cardiac arrest type of call, when Med 7 is our dispatch type code? It's usually the firefighter EMTs that arrive first on scene, and then we have our paramedics arrive as well. How does that happen in terms of transition for care?
Well, I think that working in a big city, we have a large volume of these calls, and we get very good at it, and we know our roles. And so typically the BLS unit will be the first to arrive and assess and begin chest compressions, relocate a patient to where we know would be a proper working platform for the paramedics, basically clearing a room, starting chest compressions and ventilations. We're getting the AED attached and starting to analyze the heart rhythms, and typically the paramedics will then come in, and the scene is staged, and the patient is being stabilized with the compressions, and then the paramedics will come in. We'll give them a report on where we're at, whether there's been a shock administered, whether there's not, how long, any other information that they might need, and then they dive in and start their ALS procedures. They're intubating the patient, they're getting lines, they're administering drugs, and it all seems to work in unison together. And the more we do it, the more just seamless it is. And we all work downtown, and we have a large call volume. And the advantage of that is that we get really good at it because we've seen it all, and the outcomes are in the data. We're the best in the world as far as I know.
I would say from the firefighter side, we do a really good job of filling in and doing the jobs that need to be done when they need to be done. If somebody's doing chest compressions, somebody else is next in line ready to relieve that person when it's time. Another member on that BLS crew is holding femoral pulses, and the other member is keeping track of time, how long we've been doing CPR, making sure that the stage has been set. I would say from when I started at this job to where we are now, we do things so efficiently, and the training that has gone into this has just been next level. From putting the oxygen out of the way at the head of the patient, that's not really, where do we put our aid kits, is that really that important? Well, yeah, it is important where we put the AED, where we put the oxygen, where we put the spare oxygen. So once we get everything in line and the patient into a safe area, everyone is now working in unison and everyone has a job to do, but being able to fill those roles without being asked, without being told, and again, this comes with experience. I think I can speak for all of us and have been doing this for a long time now, working well together. We work well with other companies. So on a CPR call, you're gonna get 2 BLS companies and an ALS company. So there's 3 companies there. And we could do this with companies from the far north of the city or the far south of the city, and it's gonna be exactly the same. The training component that goes into this is huge, and we review this quarterly. It's not like we do this once a year or once every couple of years. This is a quarterly training evolution that we do. And one of my favorite things is that our crews really take this training seriously. In the fire service, there's lots of joking and all the things, but when it's time to go to work, it is time to go to work, and everybody is super professional and does a really wonderful job, I think, of working together as a team. And that's one of the biggest things, not only on the medical side, but on the fire side as well. Working together to get the job done efficiently and safely.
Yeah, couldn't agree more that it's about the fundamental thread is really the teamwork, and that choreography only works out when you train on it, and there's a level of mutual respect between fire companies, paramedics, and we all, like Aaron said, can do it nearly with our eyes closed because we have trained on it so frequently and value one another's input, and everyone has a role, and being part of a team that's that efficient and effective is really a warm, fuzzy feeling at the end of the day. Like, no matter the outcomes of individual cases, everyone can rest easy knowing that they did the very best that they could do and provided the highest level of care that you could possibly give. And that's like really the big appeal for this job. Like Dietrich said, is you want to be helpful, you want to feel like you're doing a job that's important and matters, and that you're part of a team that everyone's like-minded and gets the same, positive feedback loop on every call that you run. Even if it doesn't seem significant, we all have our role to play, and we keep our heads squared away by valuing our piece of that puzzle.
The dynamic is very interesting to me because, for example, Captain Hauge, if you arrive first on scene for that type of response, and then you're transitioning care to a paramedic, who takes over the scene?
Typically, the first arriving officer will be on charge, and their responsibility is making sure everybody's safe, the scene is set up appropriately, that we have the appropriate resources, and we're tracking all the data, we're tracking the time of compressions, making sure that each piece of this event is occurring smoothly and appropriately. As the paramedics arrive, they're in charge of all the medical care, right? They're making all the critical decisions for the patient. So we breathe a sigh of relief when the paramedics walk in, because we know that they have an advanced level of training and they're going to make good decisions, and we're going to do our best to have the most positive outcome.
That's awesome. I could go into the weeds with just advanced life support care, but we do have other technical teams. Does anyone want to take a stab at describing the other teams that we have?
I mean, I would say our heavy rescue guys do a really good job. The men and women at the rescue company are amazing, and the training, they're always training. They never answer the phone when you call the station because they're always out training. and they strive to be the best at their specialty, and they really are. They do a wonderful job of at pretty much every major incident they're dispatched to, because they are very good at their job, for whether it be fire or auto extrication. They also are certified divers. That is not something that I've ever done before, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for all the things that they have on their plate.
Absolutely. And then, in addition to Rescue One, who does very exciting things, they're dangling off of buildings, they're going into trenches, they're diving underwater. We have additional teams. We have a mass decon specialty team. We have a Marine team that specializes in shipboard firefighting, and they do tunnel rescue as well. So there's different teams out there other than that's represented here that provides all sorts of opportunity for different training and specialization.
Amelia, you mentioned that you were part of the energy response team before you became a paramedic. Can you go into that program a little bit?
Sure. I worked at Station 25 when the energy response team was being formed. We called it the Vault Response Team originally because it was based on a collaboration with Seattle City Light. And interestingly enough, I knew one of the head guys, Bernie. I can't think of his last name, but Bernie was an old customer of mine at the fine dining restaurant that I worked at for like 8 years. So we were like on hugging hello terms. And him and Captain Green, who was my boss at the time on C shift, really developed and implemented the plan to collaboratively work together to suppress any vault-driven electrical fires with CO2 administration. And so we went from this very old rig of CO2 administration done in tanks off the back of the unit to now $1 million refrigerated unit with a huge, I don't know much about it because that came after my time, but it was a big, like a city/fire department thing where it became, it was really Captain Green's initiative to say, like, how can we make this better? How can we make this official and actually be effective rather than sort of scratching the surface of something that we know to do? And really, he took it to the next level. And that was very cool. I would throw in, too, that it seems like the Fire Alarm Center is also a specialty team. They do one of the hardest jobs. I've never actually gone down and been trained there, but they have a pool candidate is how they normally went. So I like to think of them as a specialty team where you can also think of the longevity of your career, where you have different spots that are sort of very physically driven. The rescue swimmer group, the Rescue One group, those are for sure going to be like prime of your life, more physically demanding jobs. And then we have a fire alarm center that honestly is very emotionally demanding. They're working with people who make that 911 call and are, experiencing a lot of adrenaline in their systems, and they're going to be at a 11 out of 10 level of anxiety, and the person at our fire alarm center really has to interface and handle all of that, which is a huge burden and a challenge, but it's one that can also appeal in your career at some point when you want a break or need a change. And I think that they also do maybe an undersold, really difficult job.
Speaking of the Fire Alarm Center, we have a different type of dispatch center where most other dispatches are usually civilians that are working that, right? So this is a career path for firefighters to become dispatchers. What do you think that key knowledge of being out in the field in operations and then bringing it into dispatch, does that add something to the Fire Alarm Center?
It's huge. Having somebody who is ridden in the seat that I ride in on the rig, going to an alarm, having that knowledge where I hear somebody talking to me, telling me what's going on. Our job is to determine whether this patient is sick or not sick, or if the building is on fire or it's not on fire. And I know in the back of my head that I can feel confident and comfortable knowing that someone who's ridden in my seat is now taking this phone call and interpreting what they're hearing on the phone and translating that to us. I think that's huge. We get a lot of visitors at Station 10 who come and do ride-alongs. We have doctors, medical students, people from other countries will come and spend the day with us on that BLS firefighter level, and they are very impressed every time on how we get dispatched. I would say that Seattle Fire, since we're very resource heavy on some of our responses, and we've heard that from other agencies also, where we'll send 3 rigs for an overdose response, just for an example. Where they're sending maybe 1 aid car with 2 EMTs on it. Why are you guys doing this? Well, we do this for a reason, but we would rather turn a rig away and not need them than get there, and now we need them, now we have to spin them up, and now we're wasting more time. But I feel like our firefighter dispatchers do a really good job of asking the appropriate questions when a call gets called in, and dispatching the right resources.
Awesome. Yeah, we have at my station one of the pool dispatchers who's an officer at Station 5. And just recently, they can help bridge the gap and identify issues that can be improved on and improve our efficiency in our dispatching, because they are in the field one day, the next day they're a dispatch member, and so we can identify and address issues that there may be a division in communication if they were civilian that can be fixed and addressed and get in front of, and so we can be provide better service to the community because of it. We have quite a few former hazmat people that have gone to the dispatch center. They have hazmat poolies, so all of that. It also allows for a familiarity. You're calling a friend, you're calling someone you've worked with for years, and that just increases the communication, because that's their job, is communication and resourcing. So it just makes it just that much easier to be able to be efficient and just continually improve.
When I came into the fire department, we had a lot of medics who had gotten off of the medic unit and were doing the dispatch job, and I was really impressed how they could filter a lot of stuff from the ALS to the BLS side just from the phone. I think that is pretty impressive. And sometimes, and nobody's perfect, but being able to do that, and now working with the nurse line and some of the other resources that they have at their fingertips. They have way more resources than we have on the fire trucks or the engines or the medic units. They can call pretty much any resource you want, and it'll be either ordered or you'll get a phone number to talk directly with somebody to help solve your problem, as we are problem solvers. So they're very, very good at their job and very helpful.
Yeah, they're really that first team member on a CPR or anything else. They're the trusted source, just like we trust each other on scene. They're the one who sets the tone.
Recently we had a patient reunification for someone who suffered cardiac arrest, and fortunately they were able to make a full recovery. And they made it a really strong point to not only talk to the firefighters and meet the firefighters that responded to the call, but they went to the dispatch center to meet the person who took the call. And a lot of that was when they were on the phone calling 911 for their loved one, the calm, confident assurance that they gave and the instruction for doing bystander CPR really enabled them to be proactive and to help in that time of need. And I think that's really, really valuable.
Absolutely.
And as they're giving those directions via the phone, they will tell us we're giving telephone CPR as we're going there. So we now know that this is real. This is something is happening. They are giving directions to someone who doesn't know how to do this. So when we show up, we are poised and ready to go and have that pep in our step to make a difference for that family.
Yeah, I've heard they use a lot of technology as well. They have, these AI type resources that can dovetail with what their training tells them to do, and it can prompt them a list of questions that will help get to the heart of the matter, but without that human interface and that prior knowledge of street medicine and inner workings of the fire department, it could never be a wholly AI robotic-driven job. It has to be a human being who's already familiar and knows and can provide, like you said, that comfort on the phone, that professionalism to someone who's in distress, and will be, our most professional first foot forward.
So the next topic, we're going to go into some gadgets and gizmos for each of your tech teams. If you can name one that has piqued your interest, that is really cool to share, I'll start with Captain Hauge.
I guess what I would highlight is our rescue watercraft program, because it's a brand new program that just maybe 5 years ago, I approached Chief Scoggins and said, hey, we need to do a little bit better on the freshwater. We need to provide a faster service for the people along our hundreds of miles of shore who are in boats and are swimming. And he was keenly interested, and he said, make this happen. And so, we reached out to the Fire Foundation for funding, and they provided money, and we created a response model, and we just built this from scratch. And we identified a problem, and we found what the appropriate solution was. We worked with other agencies. Kirkland Fire was super helpful to build our program. And so now we have a growing fleet of small, nimble vessels that we've put them into special events. We were just at Seafair for multiple days, giving positive outcomes for people and providing EMS right there on the water. We go to the 4th of July. Apparently they're going to start having paddleboard raves, and we're going to be there to help people stay safe on the water. And my hat's off to Chief Scoggins, because we didn't have this. This didn't exist 5 years ago. We would stand on the shore and hope for the best. And then we had a rescue swimmer program that we could swim out, but we could only go 300 feet. Now, Seattle Fire Department could say that we can keep our community safe as best that we can anywhere in the city, and that includes the saltwater and that includes the freshwater now. So that's been a really nice addition to the fire department and for overall marine safety.
And so the rescue watercraft are jet skis, right? And you were just mentioning you were working Seafair over the past weekend, that there's a lot of boats out there in Lake Washington, and with rescue watercraft, you're able to maneuver around them quickly, right?
Absolutely. And just to clarify, a rescue watercraft is a Sea-Doo that's been upgraded, upfitted with pontoons on the outside and emergency lighting and flood lighting and a rescue sled, similar to what you might see in a big surfing competition. So it's a jet intake, so there's no propeller, so there's no risk of injury to a person in the water. So just in Seafair, we have hundreds of people swimming in the water. We have hundreds of people on boats, and so we're able to navigate these tight quarters at a slow speed because we have a large, essentially rubber bumper. We have really no way of injuring someone if we're maintaining a slow speed, and we can access these patients that a larger vessel just simply can't. It would be too dangerous to move it in to deliver personnel. So it allows us to have that reach just right there into the community, get people from a boat if they're having a medical emergency to a larger platform or to the shore as the paramedics are waiting along the shore, as Aaron's doing logistics and we're being dispatched from the tower. We're all working together in unison with all these different specialties. And my component is I'm there with my rescue watercraft. I have a rescue swimmer who is ready to deploy into the water at a second's notice. If somebody goes underwater, if they hit their head and they sink, we're right there to be able to pull them up. If they fall onto a log boom and have a traumatic injury, we're able to provide EMS right there on that log boom. And so this is a service that we weren't able to provide as a department just a couple of years ago. So this program is only a year old. So it's brand new and it's growing, and it's a fun thing to do. I can say that I'm a professional sea-doer. I could say I'm a professional boater, and sometimes I have to pinch myself where it's like, wow, I have a cool job. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this. So it's a unique opportunity.
I would say it's full circle at this table right now, because he's going to save the person with his crew in the water. Then he's going to bring him to me on the shore side. I'm going to receive that patient. We'll get him down the dock, and then I'm going to give the patient to Amelia, who's going to transport them to the hospital. And they're going to have the best patient care that they could have, from point of injury to delivery to the medic unit, and then transport to the hospital. We do this. We've been doing this together as a team for a long time, but it is very seamless, and we do get a lot of people telling us that, man, you made this so easy for us. And it's not just one person who does this. We work together every day, and one of our fellow logistics people is, teamwork makes the dream work. He says that all the time, and he's not wrong. But yeah, it's...
I was thinking that though we're a paramilitary organization and we have our bars and our shirts and our uniforms and our badges, we also are not a staid or stale top-down organization. You have a lot of room for creativity and self-starting, like the captain just mentioned. This is an idea that he came up with on his own, a concept, and then takes that up the chain, goes to the big chief and gets support, and is able to affect some change and have new things happen. So it's not a job where you're simply being told what to do. There's a lot of individual thinking from the EMT on up, and I think that's an exciting opportunity, and one that maybe people don't think of, because you start off thinking you're going to be handed orders. And the more you go, you recognize that self-starting is as valuable in our industry as any other, and that it's rewarded with not just your good feelings, but like changes, substantive ones for the community and the department.
And that's exactly what happened with the rescue swimmer program. We had firefighters that were identifying a deficiency of service to the community. They said, here's what we need to do to fix this. Prior to the rescue swimmer program, people may have fins that they hide on the fire engine. They might just dive in and splash. They might do nothing, right? And so this was something, again, that was pitched at the firefighter level and said, hey, let's build a program. And now I think we have upwards of over 50 rescue swimmers. It's a decentralized specialty company that's swimmers are located all over the city. So if there's an emergency at a beach, there's somebody close, and within minutes, who will be highly trained, who will be in a wetsuit and fin and goggles, who has trained to the ability to be able to hold their breath and dive down to 30 feet and have enough air to be able to find somebody, work, and bring them up to the surface. And again, this was something that we didn't have. So this department is getting better, and it comes from people with ideas, firefighters or officers or chiefs, and that's just another really cool thing that Seattle Fire does.
Cool gadget or gizmo for hazmat?
We have so many gadgets and gizmos. I could be here all day. I would say one of the newer gadgets that we are working with Puget Sound Energy on the natural gas side of our operation. We go to a lot of natural gas alarms here in the city of Seattle, and across the region there are a lot of homes and buildings that are still heated with natural gas. It's being talked about a lot more because there's been a lot more incidents in our country and around the world. So we have partnered with a couple different companies, and we have, I would say the hazmat team gets dispatched to a lot of natural gas alarms. We don't go to all of them. It usually starts at the company level if it's a small leak, and then it can go on up. But people will be people, and construction happens all over the city. Sometimes if a larger gas line or a gas main is broken, whether it be from a car accident or an excavator accident, digging, things happen and infrastructure fails, and we will go and provide safety for the public. I'm not going to get too far into the weeds on this, but what the hazmat team can do is do plume modeling. So if there's a release of anything, natural gas on up to any chemical, we can model that plume to see if that cloud of bad stuff is going to go into a home or an apartment building, or if it's going some direction. We have a chain that we go through to alert those civilians that, hey, close your windows, shelter in place, evacuate. We can go down the route and say, hey, this area is not going to be safe. That gives our incident commander a lot of command and control. It also gives our team the ability to be safe and effective in what we're doing, and it gives us some, I would say, offensive tactics that we can do. But on the natural gas side, we have a couple of natural gas meters and a bunch of new natural gas meters we're going to pump out to the companies here pretty soon to help keep them safe, and everybody on the same page with the numbering system. So we're very excited about that, and hopefully that'll help relieve some of the unknowns and some of the fears in the natural gas world.
Yeah, Hazmat has cornered the market on cool gadgets. They have an entire van of cool gadgets.
Yeah, but Medic One also has a few new things as well, too. Amelia, did you want to mention anything?
Oh, for sure. The biggest change, I think, well, like I said, I've been a paramedic practicing for 4 years, starting my 5th, and when I trained 5 years ago, I was trained, we provide airways for people, not only during cardiac resuscitations, but for various other reasons when they can't maintain airways, anaphylaxis, asthma, COPD, any breathing problem where we might need to do that. And so we use a method called direct laryngoscopy. And the laryngoscope is a traditional metal tool that you hold in your left hand. It's got a handle and a blade that goes in the patient's mouth, and then you insert a plastic straw essentially through their trachea. But that technology is based on a physicality of being able to visualize the cords and do some lifting and pushing with the patient's physical structure, their stature. And now we have a tool that's made the job a lot more, not only easy, but effective, and it's the video laryngoscope. So rather than it being a metal laryngoscope blade that you hold in your left hand, it's plastic, and it's got a video screen on the top of it. And we've gone through a couple different models to figure out what works for us best in the field when you have a bright sunny day behind you, or condensation on the lens and things like that. But it has made the job of being on your stomach in the streets to achieve this intubation now to your knees, which is a lot cleaner and safer. And that's been a huge game changer. We call it a first pass success rate. And going from that direct laryngoscopy to the video has increased our numbers by, I want to say, it's definitely a 20% increase in your first pass success. And it makes your overall success at least 10% better, just from even if it's multiple pass attempts.
Awesome.
So that's a big win, I think, for all of us, patients, most of.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up the podcast, is there anything else that anyone want to add about their programs?
I'd just like to add that, like, if I was an applicant looking at Seattle Fire, we are the largest city in the Pacific Northwest. We have these amazing tech teams, and you have the opportunity to work amongst the skyscrapers, and you can work on the water. You can work in hazmat. You can do high angle rescue. You can be a paramedic. Like, there's just so much opportunity to make your career what you want it. And you're looking at this as this large metropolis. We have the world's leading paramedic program. We have the gold standard for hazmat. Everyone looks up to our hazmat program and wish that they could replicate it, and wish that they could possibly even have the personnel to staff a large hazmat incident that we do every single day. And we have the largest fleet of vessels in the Pacific Northwest. So all these programs are the big city programs, and if you're a person looking into the fire service, you should absolutely look at these technical teams, because we do cool stuff, and that that's just not an opportunity that you might have elsewhere.
I would say also, we're, like you guys have said earlier today, we are always challenged. We're always learning, we're always training, we're always getting new equipment. Things have changed a lot since I've been on the hazmat team. I think half of the equipment has gone away and we have new stuff now. It's better, and technology changes every day. I think moving forward, our hazmat equipment is keeping us and our community a lot safer. We're able to identify a unknown product a lot faster than we used to be able to. The natural gas tools and technologies that we have nowadays. One of the tools has a laser beam on it, and I can shine it through a window and tell you if there's gas in that compartment of a building or not. It's a pretty cool job to be in, and it doesn't feel like work a lot of the time. We are amongst awesome people that we work with, and we strive to do better every day and like to be challenged. So if you're looking for a challenge and want to work with amazing people, this is definitely a place that you should look at.
I agree. I think early on when I was considering a fire job, and the reason I am a firefighter is because my brother-in-law is a firefighter in Bellevue, and he recommended the job to me, thought I'd be a good fit for it. I was a downhill mountain bike racer throughout my 20s and looking to do something for the latter part of my life. And I think I was ready to work anywhere for any fire department through his description of what the job was and what the challenges were. But I couldn't be more grateful that I ended up in Seattle itself. He always called it the big show. He's across the pond in Bellevue, much smaller city, much lower call volume, far fewer opportunities as far as specialty teams go and lateral opportunities. And I just feel like I won the lottery because we have so many, like these guys already stated, we have any challenge you could think of to increase your self-value and worth and happiness, but also just this feeling of professionalism. No matter what angle you want to go to, it's there for you. So when you're thinking, would I be happy on some small outlier of Seattle? Or am I ready to be as busy as they say it is in Seattle? I would say just think about the big picture, the long term, and know that the opportunities here in the Puget Sound area are unparalleled. Seattle is really the place to be if you want to feel like a hardcore professional, that you get good at your job because the opportunity is there.
Well, thank you everyone for being on this podcast. And I also thank our audience. I want to thank you for making the time to join the Fire Connect podcast. This is one in a series of podcasts for highlighting the 2025 application window for entry-level firefighter EMT here at the Seattle Fire Department. We hope you will watch the full series and share this with others that you might find they'll find this helpful. Follow Seattle Fire on our social media accounts, particularly Facebook and Instagram, where you'll promote upcoming podcasts, in-person events and webinars, such as our Fire Connect coaching sessions online. Also, sign up at seattlefirejobs.com to receive updates directly from us on the hiring process. Thank you.